book, The Ultimate Coach. Welcome, you wonderful people, to join us in this amazing sacred space that I love to call it sacred because it's so sacred for me. And the book, I always call it, for me, is my daily Bible. I hope it's not a disrespect to anyone's belief, but this is a brilliant book that I've ever have found in my life amongst many, many books that I've read. And it's a joy to be here, be at your service. And tonight we're having the chapter 9, and it's such a unfair statement if I don't say thank you so much, Amy Hardison, to write this incredible book, Alan D. Thompson for doing a great job of research, and our delightful Steve Hardison. Thank you 1,000 times for bringing it all together for us to be here because of this phenomenal book. And of course, Eric Latham, I always thank him for getting the Facebook together, and look how well it's going all over different platforms that we have. And it's a joy to be here and be having the chapter 9 tonight, and newlywed. And we have the bride in here, you can see, but it's not Amy. And yes, it's a beautiful place to be. So make sure, please, that you read this book about you, you share it about you. And where I'd like to know, before I go on any further, where is everybody coming from? Like, I am Indio, California. Let's put it in chat and see, where are you from? And also, I always love to know, what's the weather in here? It's bloody hot. It's 100 right now here, but hopefully tomorrow is going to go down now. Oh, rainy. Wow. Iowa, Arizona. Oh, perfect. Sleet and snow. Really, Daniel? Snow in Maui? Oh my gosh. Florida. Perfect. That's awesome. Well, it's great to have you here. Isn't that amazing? One book gets us from all over the world to be here and have this joy of sharing the book with you. And the reading is going to be with our beautiful Sonia Ramirez. Thank you so much for giving us the joy of hearing your pretty voice and reading this book for us, Sonia. And we have a beautiful music that it's the favorite in honor of Steve and Amy. It's their favorite music that we'd like to play that for you. And before we started, I know if you are somewhere in the US, it must be a nighttime for you. Like, it's 7 o'clock here and it's 10 o'clock in the East. So I'd love to get you all focused and grounded to be here. And if it's possible, I just want to give you some breathing. And the breathing technique that I use, I call it Fari's method. And it's just because I don't believe in sitting down. I'm ADHD. It's hard for me to sit down and meditate like this. And I just love to just get, if it's possible, I just want to give it like a 60-second breathing and in movement. So if you would all don't mind, if you do mind, do sit down, not a problem. But if you can, it's available to you. So let's stand up and let's stretch our arms and legs and just do a few breathing, and with the breath that we're taking. And then we're going to listen to the music as we do the breathing. And then we sit and we just listen to the music to finish, and we'll take it on from then onwards. So if you are willing to join, seated or standing up, we're going to just move our arms, and you can start the music, my love. And Well, hello to the ones that we weren't here before the music. So we played this music. If you weren't here when I announced it, it was in honor of Amy and Steve. They love this music, and it's since we're reading the chapter 9, Newlyweds, so we thought we play the music to refresh that love that they have. And I'm listening to this, and all I'm thinking is my husband that I love and adore. So I said, "Where are you? Come here, I want to hug you." You know, so it's a wonderful place to be. Thank you for the ones that you joined a few minutes ago, and if you would please, when you listen about you. Just like Steve says, read the book about you, listen about you, share about you, and please refrain from wanting to acknowledge anybody here. You can always do it in your own time. And if you do that, we're going to have to ask you not to do that. So, and this is a sacred place for each and every one of us, that we're all here to learn from the book and from the whatever anybody picks up from this. And by saying all of that, I am passing it on to a wonderful Ken. Take it over, my love.
Thank you, thank you, thank you so much, Fari. Just listening to that, it just put me back into my high school days, and I just want to slow dance for the rest of the time that we have tonight. So are we able to do that? Are we just go ahead and slow dance for the rest of the night? So that was awesome. And Fari, thank you for that awesome introduction and getting us all into the mindset of why we're here tonight. So hello, everyone. Once again, good evening to all of you amazing souls. It's time for another exhilarating gathering here on season 4 of The Ultimate Coach. And once again, we're planning on diving deep with everyone here tonight. So before we begin, let's take some time to give a big, warm shout out to our fabulous guest reader, the one, the only, Miss Sonia Ramirez. Go ahead and unmute yourself and let's show this beautiful woman some love and support to Sonia for being with us tonight. Let's give her a big, warm, awesome. Thanks again, once again, Sonia. We're absolutely thrilled to have you with us tonight, reading chapter 9, Newlyweds. And just so you're aware, your presence adds a special spark to our gathering tonight. Now, for everyone else, here's a fun request to kick things off. If you got the real, tangible copy of the Book of Being we're exploring tonight, flaunt it with style. Show off that book, because it's a direct link to the incredible wisdom we're about to plunge into. Take a few moments now, show it off. I want to see everybody got the book in their hands, feel it, be present with it, get in touch with it, show it off here. Let it fly a little bit. That's it. Awesome, awesome, awesome. So thank you for doing that. Now, don't think for a hot moment we're not going to acknowledge any first timers here tonight. Welcome aboard, all of you who are newbies to this incredible adventure. And if this is your first time tonight, don't be shy. Raise your electronic hand. It's located at the bottom of your Zoom screen there. Click on the reactions tab and let the whole community know this is your first time. So everybody here for the first time tonight? Karina, welcome. Give me a moment to jot down your name. Karina, are you able to get on camera with us? Hey, Karina, can you hear me? Can you come on camera with us? I want to see if you got a book for us tonight. Okay. Maybe she's having some difficulty there. And let me jump on the second page to make sure I don't miss anybody. Make sure, Okay, so we got one person that is joining us here tonight. So thank you, Karina, for joining our fantastic community, a community that belongs to you as well. Know, Karina, that your presence brings boundless value to this community and reading experience. Now, Karina, since you're the only person that's showing up tonight as the newbie, here's the scoop, and hopefully you can hear me. You're in a safe haven. No judgment zone here. We are love. And with everyone present, we're sharing our love with all of our love with you tonight. So I want to ask, since Karina is the only person that's the new person. Oh, hang on. Karina, I can see your movement. Can you? Hey,
Hi,
Karina.
sorry, I was driving.
Oh, yeah. Are you still driving, Karina?
I just parked.
Awesome. Karina, do you have a copy of the book with you?
I don't.
Oh, okay. All right. No problem. Well, since Karina is the only person that's a newbie here today, I'm going to ask for volunteers who'd be willing to read for us tonight. And we're looking for volunteers to read the back of the book. And we're looking for a volunteer to read the first 2 pages of the book before we get into the actual reading tonight. So who would like to read the back of the book for us tonight? Let me make sure I jump on the second page. Daniel, are you raising your hand there, my friend? Awesome. All right. So we have Daniel reading the back of the book. And let me see if anybody, we need one more volunteer. How about you, Joey? All right. Thank you so much for doing that with us. So let me explain to you how this is going to be. Most of us already know how this is going to work out. So we're going to ask Daniel to read the back of the book first. And then we're going to jump to the front of the book where Joey's going to read the first 2 pages. And then we're going to go right into reading chapter 9 with Sonia with us. So once one person is done, just go ahead and go into it. You don't have to wait for a cue. You don't have to wait for me to say, go ahead and it's your turn. So we're going to get started by doing that. And now, for all of us who are present tonight, it's time to rev up this excitement. We're going to gear up for another thrilling journey through the pages of the wisdom of the Book of Being. Let's bring our focus inward. While the readers are reading the back and the front of the book, and Sonia reads the chapter Newlywed, let's make it an adventure of self-discovery. As you tune into the readers, get something really big. Listen closely. But here's the twist. Listen for yourself. And when it comes time to share tonight, commit to sharing about yourself. Now, after you hear someone talk and after you hear someone share, you might be tempted to want to acknowledge them, or you might be tempted to want to ask a question. And here's what I ask. If a particular question from the reading or the sharing tickles your curiosity, jot it down. And when you lead this community tonight, ponder that question about yourself. It might be the key to your self-discovery journey about your being. All right, are you ready? Let's get this party started. So let's go ahead and begin with the back of the book. There you go.
Dear potential reader, as you may have noticed, there are no testimonials on the back cover of this book imploring you to read it. I vetoed that. The only testimonial that I'm interested in is the one you will have from reading and experiencing this book. Please do not read this book about me. Read this book about you. Read it about being. As you read, ask yourself, who would I need to be a more loving person? Who would I need to be a more effective parent? Who would I need to be to create a level of confidence that is remarkable? Who would I need to be at peace with who I am? Who would I need to be fully in love with myself and my life? Who would I need to be to live the most extraordinary life I can live? I promise you that if you read this book with the intention of expanding your state of being, you will do exactly that. Your experience will be remarkable. Who you are being is everything. Loving you, be blessed, be you. Steve Hardison.
Before you begin, Steve Hardison, I never wanted to write a book, and I haven't. I never wanted to have a book written about me, but here it is. This book is a gift from my wife, Amy, who wrote it, and my friend, Alan D. Thompson, who conducted the research and interviews on which it is based. And it's not just a gift to me, but to you. And now you're reading it. So with your permission, I'll give you some suggestions on how to read it. You see, this isn't an ordinary book. It's not simply a biography. It's not a self-help book. It's not a literary classic. It's definitely not a book about how to coach. In fact, it's not a book about doing anything. It's a book about being, and it's a book about you. To access this book, ask yourself these questions as you read. Who am I being as a partner, parent, or a friend? Who am I being as a leader? Who am I being as a member of my community? Who would I need to be to have miracles show up in my daily life? Who would I need to be to create value in the work I do? Who would I need to be to generate a life of abundance? Who would I need to be to alter my relationship with fear? Who would I need to be at peace with my past? Who would I need to be to step up powerfully into my future? Who would I need to be present as a way of being? Who would I need to be to live the most extraordinary life I can live? Who would I need to be to know that my life makes a difference? Who would I need to be fully in love with myself and my life? Who would I need to improve my relationships with the most important people in my life? Who would I need to read The Ultimate Coach and have a personal breakthrough in being wonderful me? The best part about this book is about you, is that it is endless. The story goes on, and it's written by your being. Loving you, be blessed, be you, Steve Hardison.
Sonia, you have to unmute, sweetheart.
That might help.
There you go.
Chapter 9, Newlyweds. They were young, they were poor, they were freshmen in college, but they were in love. Just like the movies, right? Happy ever after, right? Maybe eventually. Amy grew up in a loving, functional family. She relates. My mom and dad were head over heels in love throughout their marriage. I come from a family of 6 kids, and none of us ever saw mom and dad fight. It wasn't because they fought behind closed doors. They simply didn't fight. My siblings and I all say the only disservice mom and dad ever did was to make it look so easy. Steve, as he told Kent, grew up without a role model for marriage. By the time Steve was 21, he had 5 divorces in his immediate family. As far as Steve was concerned, his father was a cipher. Not that this was a bad thing. Steve's oldest sibling, Rob, has plenty of memories with Roy and considers the day his mom left Roy the happiest day of his life. Steve's mom was rarely at home. When she was, there were times of rage, dysfunction, and drama, but mostly Steve remembers being alone. From this void, Steve created his own ideas of what marriage and family would be like. They were radically idealistic. Not only are Steve and Amy's backgrounds dramatically opposed, Their personalities are polar opposites. Amy is a rule keeper. Steve challenges authority. Amy is peaceful. Steve is high energy. Amy needs her own time. Steve would tuck Amy into his pocket and have her with him every minute. Amy hates conflict. Steve tackles conflict head on with a lot of passion and volume. Amy is conventional. Steve is not just outside the box, he has no box. Things were about to get bumpy. Amy and Steve attended Weber State University together. The little pink house wasn't exactly energy efficient. Ice formed on the inside of the windows. When they studied at night, Amy, the desert dweller, was swaddled in her coat and a scarf. They drove a 1971 Duster that sported a huge dent in the front and squawked with right turns. They carried power steering fluid in the trunk for when the screech got too loud. When the heater went out in the car, they didn't have money to fix it. The morning drives to Weber State University in the winter were bone-chilling. On occasion, they splurged and went out to eat at Tony's Pizza in Ogden or bought a Cosmos burger at the hamburger joint down the street. Mostly, they spent their nickels and dimes sparingly, but they were in love and happy most of the time. Their first house improvement project was painting their kitchen cabinets. Steve didn't like the way Amy painted. He snapped at her. She was shell-shocked. One day, Steve was talking to his close friend Paul Waite on the phone and venting his frustrations with married life. He said, "These women, they're extra baggage." Steve didn't realize Amy could hear him until he heard the front door open and close. Steve hung up quickly and went to find Amy. She hadn't gone far. She was sitting on the front step crying when Steve came out and sat beside her. She said, "I'd run away, but I don't have anywhere to go." Like all newlyweds, they had to figure out how to be with each other and how they were going to deal with their problems. Some of the patterns they established were optimal. Steve snapped, Amy withdrew. Steve got angry. Amy, who looked like a deer caught in headlights, shut down. Suffice it to say, they made it through the adjustment period and they ironed out the differences common to newlyweds. But some of their challenges were fundamental and substantial. They tried to deal with them, but the solutions were elusive. At 18 and 22 years old, neither Steve nor Amy really understood how to fix what was wrong, nor did they recognize that Steve had a wounded soul. It took decades for Amy and Steve to work out their challenges. At times, the challenges almost won. In an interview with matchmaker Roseanne Higgins, Steve spoke candidly about their lowest moments. On more than one occasion, we almost called it quits. Amy's dad is an attorney, and I remember looking at her saying, "Hey, this can be easy. Just have your dad write up the papers, and we can just split this thing up and go." I was upset because of my own inadequacies and immaturity. Another time, we'd been married 15 years. We had 4 kids. We were building a new home. I was traveling all over for business, Japan, Delaware, Silicon Valley. It all overwhelmed me. I remember driving down the street, stomping on the brakes, throwing the car into park, getting out, slamming the door, screaming and walking away, leaving my wife and 4 kids in the car. Amy had her own moments of despair. On one occasion, she laid down an ultimatum: handle your anger or we're finished. She is quick to point out that their children have not grown up with the idea that marriage is easy and that parents don't fight. However, they have also seen that marriages have ups and downs. You can work through tough problems and you can have a sweet, loving relationship, even when you are very, very different. What is remarkable about this candid glimpse into Steve and Amy's marriage is that those who have seen them together or have heard Steve speak for more than a few minutes are likely surprised, probably in shock, Most people who experience Steve and Amy, the couple, say things like, I don't think I have ever met a more beautiful, loving, and joyful couple who have so much love and devotion to one another. They are magical, to say the least, Darlene loves. The reason I wanted to meet you is because of how you speak about your wife. What I want out of our coaching is to have the kind of relationship you have with Amy. And I bet you guys never fight. Steve and Amy spoke frankly because they are madly in love with each other. They cherish and enjoy each other. They are unflinchingly committed to each other, and they have worked damn hard to get there. But how did they get there? There are a few answers. One is they simply didn't give up, even when it would have been easier to do so. Another is the recognition that relationships are hard. You have to bring your A game, and you have to do so over and over and over. Having a successful relationship is one of the toughest things most people will ever do. Finally, it is essential to acknowledge that relationships are a daily creation, but that is for another chapter.
Okay. First of all, I'd like to thank you, Daniel. Thank you, Joey. Thank you, Sonia, for stepping up and reading tonight. Now, this is the part of the awesomeness that we're about to ready to experience together, and ask if some sharing comes up for you. So Daniel, I'm going to start with you. Sit with it for a second. See what comes up for you. And if you're willing to share with us, please do what came up for you. And remember, it's about you. Share about you.
Thanks, Ken. And sure, why not? Sharing is caring, I remember from kindergarten. So this chapter for me, what do I want to say? It provokes some curiosity in that, somewhat like Steve's experience, I did not grow up in an environment of healthy love. I didn't see that modeled. Right? Ask any of my siblings. I do sometimes. I don't see them very often. I say, what do you remember about your childhood? They're all much older than me. So I was kind of half only child, half one of five. And the response from all of them, first response, they say, well, I remember mom and dad yelling at each other a lot. Right? That's the primary thing. So when I got to the age of, well, I was going to say, when I got to the age of being interested in dating and relationships, then it took quite a while longer because I was fat, shy, and depressed, and that didn't go well with dating. But when I got over that a bit, and I started into the dating world, like in my early 20s, I suppose, it became apparent to me pretty quickly that I didn't have any skills in terms of how to relate, how to make any kind of relationship loving. So I did what I tend to do when I realize, one, something's important to me, and two, I don't have the skills. I get obsessed with learning. And I'm curious at this point in my life. So I've learned a lot. I know in my head a ton about healthy relating. Of course, there can be a gap between what we know here and what we practice. well, let me put that as we. What I know here and what I practice in my life. And it's curious for me. If you measure things in trips around the sun, body years, I'm 54 years old, and I've yet to be married officially. The longest relationship I've had is 2.5 years. I love. I place an extremely high value on relationship. And there's a saying that you could see on the wall hanging at the monastery, which says, the rule isn't silence always. The rule is only speak if it's improving upon the silence. So in that same spirit, for me, I've always felt like, as much as I love relating in relationship, I only want to invest myself in that if it's improving my solo life or my life on my own, which is a good life and a rich life, and only if it's really improving the life of my partner. And I know, like in my bones, that I am destined for a long-term healthy partnership. I'm glad to know also that even at age 54, I've got at least another 150, 200 years around on the planet. So I got more time, plenty of time. And while I am eager for developing partnership, I'm also patient because I know that selection, while not being the whole enchilada, is certainly an important ingredient. So part of what I appreciate about this chapter, and I suppose other parts I've heard about Steve and Amy's relationship, Steve's comment about, I would never forget who you are. You healed me, right? That phrase I've heard him say in other places. So powerful and beautiful. So yeah, for me, this chapter is inspiring and affirming. I feel like anything worthwhile in life is worth, what the word, it's not holding out for, but it's also maintaining a high standard for, and also being willing to invest the energy, effort, learning to create it to that high standard. That's what I got. That's the news, and I am complete. Thank you.
Daniel, thank you so much for showing your vulnerability. I love it when you show up every single week and you do show deep, deep self. And that's what I can only say about you right now. That was awesome. And thank you for that share. Joey, would you like to share with the rest of
Sure.
us?
Yeah. So until last November, I had been married for 33 years. I met my wife, she was 19, she was actually my receptionist. In today's society, that wouldn't have happened because HR would have had a field day. But 34 years ago, that was a whole different thing, right? And before last November, for the 2 years prior to that, I had been writing a book that was in my head, it was in my heart for probably, 10 years. Excuse me. And the book is called Falling in Love with Your Spouse Again and Every Day. So I came home November 28th of last year, And I walked in the house, and the first thing my wife said to me was, "I want a divorce." Wasn't, at first I was, it seemed a little bit surreal. It didn't seem real because, like any other couple, we had our challenges over 33 years. And then it really, really hit me. And not to go into too many details, but it's incredible because when I was first introduced to The Ultimate Coach, which was last February, it was originally by Becky Robbins. I was in I was probably in the darkest place of my life, literally, totally lost. And I had felt like I had lost my identity. And what's incredible is after the book that I wrote is very much about who you're being in your relationship. And when I read The Ultimate Coach, I came to the realization that the book I wrote was the book about who I wanted to be or who I wished I was being in my relationship, not who I was being. So today I still hold true to every single word that I wrote, and being the dummy guy that I am, right? When she told me that last November, we were probably about an hour into a conversation after that, and I had actually just been able to secure a publishing deal on the book. So what did the idiot say to my beautiful wife of 33 years? Well, now what the hell am I going to do with the book? Pretty smart, right? So this book, right, has completely changed my whole beliefs on what a good partner is and what a relationship is all about. And it hasn't changed what I wrote, but it's more about buying into my own stuff, if that makes sense. So now I haven't seen her since last maybe March. We're in the middle of a very interesting divorce that should be finalized soon. And this sounds weird, but what I'm excited about is once the divorce is final, I'll be able to publish the book. I rewrote the subtitle. I rewrote the subtitle into Reclaim Your Identity, Write the Next Chapter, and Make Your Relationship an Example and Not a Statistic. And now I actually, when I read it myself, now I actually believe it. Before, it's almost like I didn't really believe it, if that makes sense. So really what this book has done for me personally, it's given me the ability to fall in love with myself. And it's given me the ability to now be able to stand behind what I wrote and hopefully change other people's lives and keep them from making the same mistakes that I did. I mean, we always had, it was a very loving relationship. I read this chapter again, I read chapter 9 again earlier today, but when we just read it again, there was so many similarities. My soon-to-be ex was 19 when I met her. We would have been together this year 34 years. And I've come to the realization that I take full accountability for everything I always do, everything in my life. Nothing's anybody else's fault. I always have to look at myself. But this is the first time, I think, in my life, and I just turned 65 this month, that I can actually say to myself, oh, now I really can take a good hard look at who I'm being on a daily basis. And I like who I'm being. It's not just an act. That's all I got to say about that.
Well, Joey, wow, brother, wow. And what I heard through that, all that deep vulnerability, thank you, by the way, for sharing that with each and every one of us here tonight. And is that you learn to love yourself. And that's exactly what I learned to do when I was reading this book and going deep inside, because I could not tell people that I truly loved them until I knew who I was, deep, my identity was here. I got to be loving myself first. And that's tough to do. Just like you and Steve and me, I grew up in the same kind of environment, the same thing that was going on. And I didn't know how to love. And when I got into my first marriage, which failed, I blamed the world for it. I blamed that. But be able to sit here and tell people that I love them started me. I had to sit with myself and say, I love me and I am worth it. And I am somebody on this earth here. And I am proud to love myself, because that's what exudes to other people when I come across them. So thank you so much for sharing that. That was deep. Sonia, would you like to share what came up for you from reading this chapter, or what you heard from the back of the book or the front of the book?
Wow. There's so much to share in this chapter. I 100% felt that I was reading this chapter about my husband and I can't imagine where my life would be today if I decided not to allow myself to fall in love with that man. Because both of us grew up in broken homes, single parents, and learned a lot of what not to do from our parents. And me seeing my mom married to my dad for 17 years and divorced and completely shattered. My mom grew up, had my sister when she was 13 years old, and there was 4 of us, and she was young when they had separated. And so I got to witness the heartache and live the heartache with her. And at a very young age, I decided, I think I was like 9, that I'm never getting married and I'm never having kids, because if marriage equals divorce and love equals brokenness, and to be a single parent, I'm not going that route. So I'm just going to live my life. I'm going to be successful, because I grew up broke. And I'm going to do everything in my power to not be that and have any of that experience of just brokenness. And that's how I was up until the age of 30. I would get into a relationship and always fell for someone that loved me more, fell for someone that was safe. And then I ended up meeting my husband in 2007, and God had a different plan for me. And it's so amazing how fast things changed. I went from saying never getting married, being 30 years old, to meeting my husband and us getting married a year later and having a kid a year later. And everything about this book, Steve and I and Amy and my husband, very, very similar qualities. And reading this story, I try to keep it together, because there were times where it was just hitting me. It was hitting home, and I had to keep it together to continue to read. We've been married for 15 years now. From the beginning, the newlyweds, the first year that we were married, I lost my sister at the age of 34 very unexpectedly. He lost his grandmother very unexpectedly. My sister left 3 children behind. They were all teenagers. And Dad wasn't doing well. And when we got word of what was happening in that home, my husband, he was 24 at that time. I'm 6 years older. he looked at me and he said, let's go get these kids. Let's fight for these kids. And I knew that day that it was safe for me to fall in love with this man. And it was very challenging because of everything we were going through. Young, not even knowing how to put a kid in school. More or less, one of my nephews is disabled. I had to figure out IEP and everything that goes with that. All kids in counseling, all three of them were in counseling. Then, my daughter was born, and it was just so many challenges. And people call us today the Mexican fairy tale. And I am so in love with this man, and I'm so glad that I did not give up, because I was that woman that would give up. And I didn't give up, and he didn't give up. And there was always the foundation of love and respect between us. And it's so true that all the challenges and obstacles that you go through as a couple help strengthen you. We look back now at all the things that we've been through. And my nieces and my nephews, they're strong adults today. They're like our babies. They're like our babies. And we have it's just absolutely amazing to read this chapter and to see me and to see my husband. And when I see the love that Steve and Amy have, I see my husband and I see that. And I tell everyone, nothing's perfect. Like, we continue to grow together as well as individuals, because we have to have that as well, right? You have to continue to grow as an individual, not forget who you are. But it's very imperative that you grow together, that you have goals together and date and have fun together, act silly together, and just have that open communication, Yeah. I tell people it's nearly perfect. My stepdad and my mom were over, and their relationship's a bit rocky. We were all swimming in the back. This was recent, about maybe 2 months ago. And my stepdad looks at us, and we're in the pool, and my husband's holding me. And my stepdad asks, how long have you guys been together? I said, well, we've been married for 15 years. And he said, it's nice to see a couple is still in love after that long. And I looked at him and I said, you can have this too, because I truly believe that. I truly believe that there's a reason why you fell in love. We just always forget, because life, because of the noise, because of responsibility. And we forget, and we look at them, as life goes on and things happen, in a different lens. It's like the lens is foggy, the lens is cracked because of the things that you guys, that individuals have been through. But if you take off that lens and start to remember who you fell in love with, I feel like that flame can be a flame again. We don't have a flame, we have a fire. We have a fire. And our children get to witness this, and they see it. And when we have disagreements, they see how we handle that too. Leading by example. My daughter is not, she sees her daddy, and she sees the way her daddy treats her mommy, and she sees the way her mommy treats her daddy. And she sees that we are real, and we own up to our mistakes. And I know that the day when she decides to say I do, that she's going to know how she should be treated. And my son is going to know how to treat a woman because of all the things that we've been through and where we are today. Anyways, I want to thank you all. I'm honored to be with you all tonight. I am complete.
Powerful. Way to go, girl. Way to go. The only thing I could add to that is that we're all reading about the book of being, and Steve says, read this about you. But I tell each and every one of you, it's not just a book, it's being part of this and showing up. Who do I need to be to take what I hear and apply into my own life to help me create the queen that I fell in love with 30 years ago and continue to be my queen 30 years from now. It's about this. It's about who you need to be to show up and be responsible enough to say, listen, you're not the only person in this world. Who do I need to be to take and run with this? Sonia, powerful. Thank you so much for being here tonight, and thank you so much for sharing it. Now, as I mentioned to everybody at the beginning, mainly to the newbies, and we only have one with us tonight here, this is a safe haven. And each one of our readers tonight took that opportunity and showed up how they needed to show up to share such vulnerability, share so much love, share their deepest soul to each and every one of us tonight. So now the stage is set for all of you, and the floor is open to all of you, friends. So I ask you, share what moves you, share what inspires you, share what touches your soul. Who would like to begin sharing their thoughts and the reflection? And remember, when you do, you're sharing about you. I know there's a soul there waiting to speak. You have our complete love. You have our complete understanding. Miss Dear Tanya, please do share.
Hi, everyone. Thank you, Ken. Oh, this is such a beautiful chapter. I felt similar to what Sonia said when she said, I felt like this chapter was written about you, where it says, Amy is peaceful, Steve is high energy. Amy needs her own time. Steve would tuck Amy into his pocket and have her with him every minute. Amy hates conflict. Steve tackles conflict head on with a lot of passion and volume. Amy is conventional. Steve is not just outside the box. He has no box. That is my relationship, hands down. And, you know, when it got to this part in the book, when Steve was having the conversation, and Amy overheard him, and when Steve snapped, Amy withdrew. That was very common in my relationship. And so, you know, when we ask the questions in the back of the book, who do I need to be to create a relationship with the most important people in my life? And when I recognize my typical behavior or my routine behavior or reaction, basically, I would ask myself, who do I need to be to not do that? To not do that? Who would I need to be to not be a deer in headlights and actually speak honestly and use my voice, but with compassion rather than reaction? You know, with empathy, but actually use my voice rather than just like go mute. Because I when we think of fight, flight, or freeze, I would freeze, or I would withdraw and just relocate, recreate my environment. And I recognized that like the routines were just repetitive. That would happen, and I would behave the same way, and so, or I would react the same way, and I would withdraw, and then we kind of just like sweep it under the rug. And because of the dynamic of our relationship, whether it be through travel or whatever, you know, it never got dealt with. And so for me, I actually really wanted my husband to read this book, and it so happened that he did commit to read it, but wasn't quite there. And then he got COVID and stuck in a hotel for 2 weeks. So he listened to it. And I happened to call him at one time, and he was like, yeah, I'm on this chapter. And he told me what part he was at. And I was like, yeah. So what you think about that? And he was like, shit happens. And I was like, oh, like that was a reaction to it. I'm like, what? Like, I was like hoping, you know, that he would like have a different reaction, or that he would see a similarity, and that we could like grow from that conversation. But I just sat with it, and I was like, yeah, as a possibility, that's just that would be something he would say. So who do I need to be to not react to that and just honor him for who he is? And so what I can say is that Amy inspires me so incredibly, because she really does create Steve as Steve creates Amy. And that has been what has, I think, a conduit to creating their relationship as lasting. And honestly, when I first was introduced to how she creates Steve and the process that she goes through, it was a bit much for me. I literally had to turn it over and was like, yeah, I'm not there yet. I got a lot of work to do. And so that was an awareness for me. Like, I got a lot of work to do. I could really, it's not like, stop pointing the finger, Tanya. Like, you actually have a lot of work to do, and you can honor that and just be with who do I need to be to create a safe space for us in our relationship, rather than a reaction, or rather than being mute and really use my voice. And I'm extremely grateful for this book being in my life, because my relationship has transitioned, and I'm so proud of who we are becoming as a couple. So yeah, a project and work under construction, but honoring the work that I want to do, not that I need to do, but that I want to do, and I get to do. This week, I actually had a scare that my husband was no longer alive. And so in that moment, you know, it really woke me up. It woke me up to really laying down all the bull crap that isn't necessary, and just getting past that. It's about creating the now, right now. Because the best thing, the best gift I was given was to hear his voice again. And it was such an honor. And I'm so grateful that my husband is alive, and that we get the opportunity to create our relationship here forward. So thank you. Thank you for letting me share.
Thank you, Tanya. Another powerful share tonight. Andrea, I've seen your hand up, but it's back down, but I'm going to give you the opportunity. Do you have something to share?
Sure. Thank you, Tanya, for what you just said, and thank you, all the readers, for your shares. Yeah. I've got Martin actually in the background, so it's kind of funny. Talking about him behind my back, or in, I don't know how that works. He's got his headphones on, it's all right. Yeah, the bit that we have different backgrounds, you know, we're from different countries. He's from Europe, from the Czech Republic, and I'm from Canada. You know, I'm 10 years his senior. I'm Asian, I'm Chinese Canadian, and he's Caucasian. So all these, you know, background differences. And actually the differences that actually, and our personality different. You know, he's super disciplined, super focused, and yeah, and very active physically. And I'm the opposite of all that. And yeah, so we complement. The way I see the differences is that we actually complement each other. And whatever the good stuff was from our backgrounds, we actually can you know, we complement each other. And so like Amy is the grounding force and Steve is the high kite. It's kind of like that with us, and it works. It really, really works. And I love that actually about us, that we get to share our passions with each other and grow together. And yeah, Martin and I actually got to read a chapter together, the chapter on love, last year, I think. And that was really, really amazing to read it together. And he's read the book. And yeah, it's just wonderful to grow together. Even, you know, we're all he says he doesn't get the language and stuff, but it's he does get it. He does get it. And we are creating a new, like, every day. We're really, really in the now moment. That's what I'm learning from this book. It is a daily creation. And like the whole QTR, quality time remaining, you know, today is the 11,300th day. You know, I've got remaining. So it's like, I'm not going to waste any time being unkind or judgmental or, you know, just small and petty. It's, you know, time is really, really, we're going to have fun with the rest of our time and do our best and, you know, enjoy it, really, really enjoy it. So when they said, you know, they cherish each other, and yeah, I get to appreciate him a lot more. Like he makes me like breakfast, my favorite food, and like all kinds of stuff. It's so thoughtful. And yeah, so I just love this chapter. I love that it's a daily thing, and we get to do overs if we need to. We don't fight, so that's amazing. I think there are opportunities all over the place to learn. I've learned so much from all of you, and I'm so grateful. Like 16 years of being together. I didn't think we would get married. It was our first marriage, and neither of us were looking for a relationship either, but we just were in the elevator at the same time, and it just happened from there. So yeah, I really I really love this chapter, and I look forward to creating beautiful things. Thank you. I'm complete.
Thank you, Andrea. As you were mentioning that about your polar opposites, and we complete where you're from here and he's from there, and all that, and and what I've heard and what we're experiencing, it doesn't matter. It's who you being to make this marriage work. It's who you are being to have the love for one another, and it's tough. Especially in my marriage, we have a great marriage too, and I share it so many times with any community I come in. Matter of fact, she's in my document. I married my wife like I love my wife so much, like I married her every single day, the moment I wake up. But before I read the book, before I understood what this was all about, she would just do her thing, and if and take over, do everything in the house, cleaning, cooking, laundry, all those things. And what I learned was, who do I need to be a great husband to go and tell her, I got the cleaning, I got the laundry. It's a work in progress. I don't do it every single day, but that's who I'm showing up, because I want her to know that I love her more today than I did yesterday, but less than tomorrow. And that's who I am being, those little things that she doesn't ask me to do, that I'm there for it. And this is what I heard from you, Andrea. It's just, thank you so, so much for sharing that. Mr. Wolfgang.
Good morning. Well, for me, it's very interesting when I look in my life. I hear a lot of stories from you, and it reflects that crisis is a good opportunity for changing and growing, and that is what I take from this chapter. When I also listen about Steve and Amy, their love is there, but the discovery more and more into how to maintain or creating it was a process, and that can come slow or it can come instantly. And I think that's also something very important about everybody else, to have a look at my judgment and leave the other people alone and trust their process, that everyone is going through their own. I met recently a lady from India, and I see in the East something what is very judged, like she got married. So she didn't fall in love. She was related to a man, and she shared with me how the process went, that they actually came together, and she told me they have the most beautiful relationship and they are so in love with each other, but they really discovered that. So for me, in my youth, it was, you fall in love, and that is what you're looking for. You look out and to meet the girls, and somewhere you fall in love. That's like that. Saturday night was going out to fall in love. I mean, so this concept of that you come together and you actually discover and actually create the art of discovering the love, I didn't know it all. So there are so many things out there I don't know. And every crisis creates a place where I discover something new. So yes, that I wanted to share, and I'm open to discover every day something new. Also with my wife, because there is lots of things to discover I don't know. And thank you for sharing all your stories. And to learn from you is just beautiful. Thank you.
Well, I don't see any more hands up that want to share. Oh, there we go. Mr. Dave Orton. There you go, bro. You're up.
Thank you. Thank you. And apologies I'm late. Sonia, I'm in your neck of the woods right now. And I had the opportunity to have dinner with a member of our community, and it went a little bit later than I was expecting, but but it was totally worth it and worthwhile. Had the opportunity to notice what a difference, how different, life is with Penny than what I expected it to be, I've had the opportunity to be around Sonia and her husband, and they are delightful and wonderful and very different, very complementary, and I feel like it's the same, similar with Penny and me. We're very different people, and we're very complementary. She is very calm, and I am sometimes calm. But it is a beautiful thing to go through the discovery of what things feel like when you're discovering your roles and creating, each other in a marriage experience. And Penny and I, we got engaged 2 weeks after we met. So as fast as Steve and Amy were, we were way faster. And it has worked out beautifully. And I love her. And I love that she has loved me through thick and thin, and depression and suicidal ideation and lack of money and surplus of money and traveling to Europe and not coming with me on some trips and coming with me on others, and meeting Teresa together and many of you. It's just a beautiful thing. And I'm so grateful for that. I'm grateful grateful for you who are here, because you guys are beautiful examples of the possibility of what being looks like, choosing consciously to be a certain way in life. And I'm not going to get into acknowledgements, because I know that's not allowed now. And I love you, and I love me. So that's still about me. Thank you for allowing me to share, even though I missed the actual reading. And I'm sorry, Sonia. I'm going to go back and re-listen to it after it's on the site. Thank you, guys.
Dave, thanks for showing up when you could tonight. This minute is a powerful for everybody here. So I want you to know that. So don't apologize for showing up late. Love you, brother. Love you. So again, we're getting close to winding down here, but I want to give an opportunity before we leave to see if anybody else wants to share their final thoughts, what's coming up for them. And give it a moment here, because I almost said goodbye and then Dave popped on there. So, okay, without any other takers here. So I want to just take this opportunity to thank all of our readers again tonight. Daniel, Joey, and Sonia. Not only were you powerful readers here, but you guys went above and beyond of demonstrating, of reading it about you. And that was awesome. Sonia, we had the opportunity to meet you before you came on here, and you were asking all these questions here, but you showed up exactly how you needed to show up tonight, and that's you. So thank you so much again. And with that being said, that's my time. So I'd like to turn it over to the beautiful Tanya Alvarez to close us out for the night. Thank you all for your shares. Thank you all for being here. I love each and every one of you.
Thank you so much, Ken. Thank you. And I'd love to actually come back to Sonia and see if there's anything else Sonia would like to share, if there's anything present with her. Give her the opportunity to share if anything else is present.
I am just so full of joy right now. Just being here with you all and reading this chapter, it helped me. It was a reminder. It was a reminder. My husband's out of town all week, and so I'm missing him. And it was a beautiful, beautiful reminder of our obstacles and challenges and the things that we've gone through and the things that we've grown through. So I thank you all for choosing me to read this chapter, because it really, really, I really resonated with it. So thank you all.
Thank you, Sonia. Thank you very much. You know, that experience that I shared a little earlier about what I experienced, it really inspired me to really be more present with every person in front of me, especially the people that I love, and to really treat it and honor it as if it might be the last time I ever see them or talk to them again. And how would I show up? Really honoring how do I want to show up with that as a possibility, because we never know. And I tell you what, that has impacted my awareness so much this week that I feel like that almost had to happen for me to really walk the walk that I talk. And so, although it was really challenging and one of the worst moments that I could experience, it was possibly now the best. So how one thing could be one minute, and it could seem like complete chaos and disaster, as a possibility that is the best lesson and greatest gift of life as well. And so I share that with you because, like, we never know. And we all have people we love in our life, whether it be a spouse, a friend, a parent, a sibling, you know. And so it goes back to, what are we creating the opportunity in the moment? And how are we being present? And so I just really want to acknowledge each of you for your beautiful and powerful and authentic shares and sharing about you, and how this book has inspired you to really take a look through the awarenesses that it has created in you to be your best version of you. And thank you for being here tonight and sharing yourselves with us. I really want to also acknowledge Fadi. Thank you so much for opening our call and grounding us so beautifully. Thank you for being here and being part of Team TUC, for your inspiring commitment. Thank you. Thank you. And Mr. Ken, I want to thank you so much for leading the call and sharing you and your relationship and your awareness, even in how you are now creating who you are being in your relationship with your wife, and the way you're showing up, the way you show up to TUC all in. Thank you for who you've been, my friend. I really appreciate you. Thank you. And I want to acknowledge all that are present, and all TUC members as well. The work that goes on in the background to create the possibility for us to unite here together in the sacred space, to share and grow. Each time I hear these chapters, I really try to show up empty, like I've never heard it before. And with that intention, that's exactly what I create the possibility of each of these readings. So although I might have read the book 20 plus times, it's as if I heard it the first, because I really allow myself that possibility. And so I encourage each of us to do that with each of the readings that we get to attend and be a part of. And so with that, we have our next upcoming reading, which will be Sunday, October 22nd at 10 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time. It's 7 a.m. Pacific Time. If you click on the event or any time you might question any of the times per your time zone, you can click on the event in the Facebook group. And when you click on the actual event and you scroll down to see more, you will then have the opportunity to see each time zone as well. I do want to encourage everyone that come November 5th, time zones will change. So be aware of that. And so be aware of your time zone, so that way you don't miss our call. Because as we say from the beginning of the book reading and in every book reading, the most important person here is you. So thank you for being present. And our next guest reader is a surprise. So I would like to also announce our upcoming 2-year anniversary for the Ultimate Experience in Arizona. It will be January 26th and 27th. If you would like more information on that Ultimate Experience, and just by the way, the first Ultimate Experience I did attend, that's the only one I've attended actually, and it changed my life. So I encourage each and every one of you, if you haven't already gotten your ticket, say yes in the chat or reach out to us privately. Anyone on Team TUC, we'd be honored to share that information with you and support you in any information, whether it be tickets, whether it be hotels, whether it be any information you need. We're here to support you 100%. And that also goes for the 2B24, which is the Ultimate Birmingham Experience, May 25th and May 26th of 2024. So again, you can type yes in the chat if you'd like more information on that. And again, we can share with you detailed information on anything you might need. Don't feel like you're alone in the discovery of as a possibility. If you can be there, we're here to support you to get there and love on you when you get there. So with that being said, I do also want to acknowledge and announce some of the amazing resources that we have in the Ultimate Coach. And that is our YouTube channel. Our YouTube channel has amazing speeches and talks, and actually some talks from the previous Ultimate Experiences in both India and in London. And so I really encourage you to access those outstanding resources. We also have the Ultimate Coach podcast and beautiful interviews from different individuals who have read and been inspired by the Ultimate Coach. And again, as you're here on this call and you grow, or I grow at least also, in hearing people sharing, this is a great opportunity for you to hear other people who have been inspired and created shifts in their own life through the Ultimate Coach book. And you can listen to those on the podcast channel. And if you need access or would like more information about that, please, again, type it in the chat, and our Team TUC will make sure that we support you on that and finding that information. We also have the Ultimate Coach Instagram page run by our amazing Dave Orton, who is present with us. And yes, so please join in on the Instagram. They have great interviews as well. We also have the LinkedIn group, and we also have the Ultimate Coach Weekly Being Digest newsletter with all upcoming events that are stated in that. And so with that, if you do not have access to the Ultimate Coach Being Digest newsletter, and you would like to be put on the email list for that, again, say yes in the chat and say Being Digest, that you would like more information on that, and we'll make sure we private message you on how to do that and how to get access to that newsletter. And so at this time, I would love to invite everyone to unmute. And if you will be staying with us for the after party, that's a time when we turn off all videos. And it is an opportunity for us to share deeper without any video on. And yeah, it's a beautiful space as well. So if you will be joining us for that, outstanding. But if this is your time to say see you soon, then again, I would like to invite all to unmute. And my tech, can you assist me in that and unmuting all? Let's see.
They should all have ability now.
I think.
Excellent. Thank you so much.
Mm.
Wonderful.
Have a good
Well, thank you,
night.
everyone.
Thank you,
guys so
guys.
much.
Thanks, y'all.
Bye-bye.
See you soon.
Excellent.
Thank you,
Aloha.
everyone. See you soon.
Blessings.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.